Hey everybody, welcome to Aroundtable.ca Podcast. My hosts today, my fellow hosts, are Sir Stephen from East End, Montreal. We got my brother Dino from the other end of Montreal, and we got Johnny, which is in the middle, somewhere in
No, I'm
Montreal.
far off on the other side.
Hey guys, so the topic for today's podcast, are you ready?
Yep.
Yes, we are.
Is rock dying? Fight!
And who wants to start?
I can.
Go for it, Philip.
Yeah, sure. So, is rock dying? Well, it's kind of there, as I'm sure most people have heard already at this point. Gene Simmons has some pretty strong opinions about the fact that rock is dying, saying that rap is taking over and everything that's rock is going out the wayside. Um, do I think rock is dead? No. I think it's changed. Rock has a way of. There's an evolution of rock now. What it doesn't mean what's mainstream, what's top 40 radio. Yes, rock is not as there. You're not gonna listen to the new Metallicas on the top 40 radio stations. You're never gonna do that. But rock is still alive and kicking. There's still a lot of really really good rock albums out there. New artists coming out. Um, there's there for me personally, a lot of people said the same thing in the '90s when grunge came along. For me personally, I'm a big fan of Pearl Jam. I think it's one of my favorite bands of all time. But they've dropped off the face of the earth in terms of mainstream, and I think that, but it doesn't make them, less rocky or less rock. They're still good. They still produce albums. There's still new artists coming out like Cold. That's rock, metal. They slap on different terms. Like before it was very simple. You had soft rock, rock, hard rock, heavy metal. Now you have industrial metal, rock, soft rock, industrial. You have
Alternative rock.
rock, rap metal. You have alternative metal, which is different from alternative rock. So they can slap different slogans on it and names on it, but at the end of the day, if you have a drum, a bass, a guitar, and a singer, as far as I'm concerned, that's a rock group. And I think it's not gonna die anytime soon. But mainstream radio is kind of not helping itself by putting, pop, very bubblegum type songs on the radio. That's my take on it. Steve?
Dino, you go next or Steve? Steve, I go with this.
Dino.
Dino.
Well, I think Philip is right. If you look at who's really popular right now and who's touring, it's all the old artists and old groups like the Ozzy Osbournes and the Paul McCartneys, and there's no real band that's given the chance that's playing rock. And there is a lot of bands. If you go look on YouTube and if you listen to like Google Play, you'll find a lot of obscure artists that produce really good music. It's just that they're not known, and I think it's a shame. And it's probably gonna change now. Once the old folks they're gonna start to die off. Once the Kisses, or like Kiss is not around anymore, or the Ozzy Osbourne, the Paul McCartneys. I think that's when you're going to see that new generation pop up because they'll fill in a void. What do you think, Steve?
I'm gonna go with. I think I'm agreeing with you guys. Rock is changing to different formats. For me, I find a lot of good rock groups by searching the internet. I found I recently discovered Night Ranger. I thought their new album was spectacular. There's a guy called Glenn Hughes who used to be in Deep Purple. His last album was phenomenal, but you have to know where to look for it. You have to find it. You have to search for them. They're not on big labels. They're on small labels. Rock got hurt with the beginning of the illegal downloads. A lot of big bands won't release albums. Gene Simmons recently said that they are writing material for a new Kiss album, but they won't release it until there's a way to release it properly and they can make money. The last guys that can make money in rock are the Stones, McCartney, Clapton, Stewart, Roger Waters. All the old classic guys are the only guys that can record new music, keep rock alive, and don't care if they don't make money through sales because they don't need it. They make money through touring. It's the new bands, it's the future of rock that are in danger because they need all the money they can get starting up. And sometimes they can't afford a tour. They got to release an album. Gene Simmons has even mentioned that his daughter released a song last year on iTunes. It sold 10 million copies, and she got $400 in royalties. So how is a band supposed to survive on $400 a year if they did 10 million in sales on iTunes? There's something wrong with the structure. It needs to change. But it's the classic rock guys, like Dino said, that are still touring, that are keeping it alive because they can release an album strictly now actually for artistic reasons as opposed to money reasons. And they can get away with it because they're going to have a fan base that there'll be a minimum amount of sales. They might even make money. It's just right now, it's the new rock, I think, that's dying. I mean, you have like our radio stations here that go, oh, we have the brand new Deep Purple album. Here's Smoke on the Water. That's 30 years ago. Or here's the brand new Hotel California song from the Eagles, Hotel California Acoustic. I mean, nothing is getting new played. You're not going to develop new classic rock or any kind of rock if it doesn't get played and resonate with an audience. So rock is changing. It's becoming, again, underground. People have to search for it. And you know what? That makes it cool. That makes it fun. But it also hurts the wider audience that don't do that and think that, Miley Cyrus is the new face of rock. I'm not sure if I'm okay with that. But like Philip said, rock is changing. It's evolving. It's something different. We'll see in a few years once Kiss and Van Halen and all these guys stop doing it. I think that's when we'll really see the impact of rock and where it's going to be in the pathlon of music. I think we got maybe 5 to 10 years left with these guys pushing it. We'll see from there. Right now, I don't think it's dead. It's maybe in a stage of transition. But I think it's the last, maybe the last big band around that we can pull off a rock show to a mass audience is the Foo Fighters. But there's no one else. There's no one new that's being promoted. There's no next Van Halen. There is no next Eric Clapton. There is no next Paul McCartney. There's just the next Katy Perry, the next Justin Timberlake. And no disrespect. But they're not really rock. And a lot of these older guys developed something important called a lyric and melody that's lacking today. So rock is changing. Rock, we'll see. Like I said, for me, it's going to be in 10 years from now, once like Rod Stewart passes on and Paul McCartney passes on. I mean, we see the impact now with David Bowie passing and Prince passing and Lemmy from Motorhead, how the landscape is already void. We'll see in 10 years when all the big guys go how rock is, but it is in a stage of transition, I think. But there's something out there. You just got to find it. But I remember back in the day being a kid listening to the radio station that every type of music had a chance to be played. And now it's just strictly you have 7 of the same artists played over and over and over, and that's not going to give you an audience. I think that's the problem. That illegal downloading, rock stations not promoting rock at all and just playing the old stuff. You need to bring in the new blood too, because the guys like Kiss and Deep Purple and all this, are getting older, and they're not going to be along. They're not going to be around in 25 years from now.
But even Kiss, even Gene Simmons, like he doesn't consider grunge rock. Like one of the better Kiss albums, it is more of the obscure one. It's Carnival of Souls.
Right.
Listen to that album. If you tell anybody this is a Kiss album, they don't believe you, because it has a grunge sound to it, and there's a few songs on there that are amazing. I Want to Be There. I think it's a song about Paul Stanley's kid when she was born. There's another one, I Walk Alone. It's one of the better albums, but they never promoted it. Number one, because they were getting reunited again, and they were going to go on tour with the original cast or the original band members, but also because it was more grungier. And both Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons hate that album. They never promoted it. They never did anything. So it's rock.
Well, they weren't going to. I mean, they're going to do the reunion, and Paul Stanley said it, and I might have to agree. He goes, "It's a great album," and it is. I mean, if you listen to Jungle, that thing can kick anything from Metallica's Load and Reload out of the water. Mm-hmm. But the thing is it a Kiss album? That's the thing. Most fans will probably say it's not Kiss. But it's as much as I love that album too, I agree it is a great album. It's underrated. It deserves to be discovered. But since Paul and Gene don't consider it themselves as a Kiss album, it's never going to get the light of day. I don't think so. I don't think we'll see like a remastered anniversary edition anytime soon, you know?
But I'm saying their point of view, they don't even recognize it as being real rock music. So if your position is that it's not what rock should be, yes, rock is dying. If you're thinking
but that's everybody's opinion, right? For me, grunge is rock, is a different form. It's like blues is a different form of rock. Reggae is a different. If it all came from blues, jazz, it all originates from the same place. It just goes into different directions. Mm-hmm. Just because Gene Simmons says it's not rock doesn't mean it isn't to me.
Yeah.
Well, look, for example, when I was young, my father had a cafe bar. And we're talking about the 80s. Now, 80s rock was very complicated because you had Genesis, you had Pink Floyd, you had Supertramp, you had Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin. You had so much kind of different. Queen. And don't forget, Queen in those days wasn't referred as a rock group. Now it's the rock group, one of the rock groups. And like Chom didn't want to play Queen and wanted they were forced to play one song, and then they were getting so much demand, and Queen became one of the main groups of Chom. And the thing is, everybody has the different opinions. Once a guy were there, you're just hanging around talking, and the guy goes, "What's your favorite rock group?" And you see the different opinions. So rock is a different opinion. Gene Simmons' opinion, that's his opinion. Mm-hmm. Rock is rock. Now, rock is it dead? No, it's just going through a different phase. And don't forget, rock is based on being a rebellious song. So kids do not want to sing a song or do music that the father goes, "Hey, I love your song." They want to be the opposite. They want to be rebelled against the older generation, saying, "Look, we're a new generation, and we want to be different than you are." So rock went through different phase, then went to new wave, then went to a punk rock, then it went through grunge, and then was what's called indie rock. They're all going through different phases, and the reason is because the young generation want to express their way of music differently. To say, "Goes, look, we're from a different generation, and we don't want to associate like you guys right now. We want to show that we're different, more creative, and everything." And as bands and everything, there is great bands. There's Staggery, there's Airborne, there's this, there's so much. But the problem is these radio stations, which rock before radio stations, they took chances. They did it for music, not for now, which now they're doing for money. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're always playing sure bets. Like I say, Chom, we can make bets at the 10 music they're going to play every day, and we make millions. It's always the same template. So, like Led Zeppelin, they have a good 100 songs. They play 3 songs out of them every time,
Well,
and it's a no brainer.
Well, it's like Black Sabbath or Ozzy Osbourne. They play Paranoid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
but there's other songs as well.
And then they wonder, they say, "Oh, it's rock dying." Well, if you don't open the doors to the new generation coming in, and like once I remember they go, "Oh, this new guy, this is this," and I wrote his name down, Courtney Burns or something. Like that. I'm sorry, I didn't they play for a couple of weeks, and then boom, you never heard of the person, and then they say, "Goes, how are you supposed to prosper?" Then after they say, "Oh, well, nothing left." Chom is right now, it's becoming like in 20, 30 years ago when there was a radio station that just played rock and roll, which now they disappeared. And Chom's is the same thing. So if they want to grow and continue that, they have to take chances. They gotta stop thinking about profit margins, what this and this, and take chances on the new talent, because these new talents will disappear. Most of the groups, new groups I hear, like Steven's right, you have to go to the internet or these late shows when they bring a surprise rock group because they're willing to publicize their way for free or low money. And that's the only way you're going to hear new talent, because the radios, they're not taking chances no more.
Well, one good indication of where and the reason, one of the reasons why you people may think that rock is dying is, for rock fans, you can associate a decade or a period with bands. If you think Beatles, 60s, Paul McCartney and the Wings, 70s, Led Zeppelin, 70s, Bon Jovi, 80s. Who do you think of? Who's the rock band that's on top of that's making it in the 2000s? You can't name one without getting it mixed up with everything else. There's no one that's coming on top, that's getting on top of everyone else. That's, I think, a bit of everything.
Oldies.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've gone to see new bands going to play at the Bell Center in Montreal. I went to see Black Mountain and I went to see Coldplay. Very artificial in a sense that they come out, they play, they get the hell out.
Yeah.
Then I go and watch. I went to see Def Leppard. I went to see Iron Maiden, Alice Cooper, and they give the same show as they did 20, 30 years ago. And it's still entertaining today, with encores and interacting with the fans. And, a lot of the bands don't do that anymore. It's as if it's passé, or whatever the case may be.
They lost, I think, the idea of showmanship.
Yeah. What an audience is.
Paul McCartney, you can like him or not. Personally, I think he's one of the best artists to ever perform on stage. When you go see a regular band, usually they have an opening act that's maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and then the main act is maybe an hour 15. On a good night, maybe an hour and a half. Paul McCartney goes on with no opening act. He plays for 3 hours with maybe a little intermission in between. But he plays for 3 hours. Pretty much every hit that he's had since
the
Beatles all the way to today, he plays. And even some more. Last time when I went to see him, he played Purple Haze. And he played the solo in between. My jaw dropped. It was amazing. And I can say that I went to see Paul McCartney once in my life, and it was an amazing show. I'm not sure now, a teen or somebody that's in their early 20s, they go see a rock band. I don't know if they have that feeling, that rock feeling of feeling involved and going to see a show that, whoa, you know what? That was a bang for my buck. I paid $60, $70 to go watch or even sometimes it's $100 in some cases, to go watch a show, and I walked out feeling that it was worth it. A lot of the bands don't, even for the smaller venues. Sometimes some of the best shows that I went to see were unknowns. Boyce Avenue, which they're known on YouTube for being cover artists, but they actually come out with original material as well. They're more light rock, not soft rock, but it's a little bit heavier, but it's still a little bit lighter than rock. But they sound great. They're amazing. But they found a way of making money in a different way. They're not in your face on the radio. They're not in the conventional way. But you listen to any online radio station, they're playing. They have their YouTube channel, which they have billions of views. But how many of you have actually heard of Boyce Avenue?
On the radio, like example, let's say on a I work a lot. Where I work, I have also a radio next to me. Because I try drive, And on the radio, no, you don't hear. You always hear the same bloody group.
Exactly.
It's like and that's why I like hearing new songs. And what's problem right now, a lot of people want to play it safe. They want to hear the regular groups. Look, like Led Zeppelin, all these things. I have them at home, so I don't need the radio. I want to hear groups that motivates me to go like, hey, I'm gonna download this music from the web, or I'm gonna go buy it. That's what I want. I want new talent, new inspiration, new everything. And radios right now, radio stations, especially here. Look, think of it this way: Montreal has probably triple the population of Ottawa.
Yeah.
When I drive to Ottawa, they have almost triple radio stations of rock, and it's bass rock, than Montreal. They have from old rock to modern rock, alternate rock. They have there's also the 90 rocks. They have all different kind of stations. And here you have what, 2?
Maybe, even if you're lucky.
And one of them we hear because it's from Vermont.
Yeah.
So and think of it, it's Montreal. So how come Ottawa, 3 times less the population, have more rocks, 3 times more rock stations than Montreal? It's pathetic. And then over here you have from Sequoia to Mix 96, Virgin, they all play the same kind of music. You can press the 4 button one after another, and within half an hour they all play the same music 5 times.
Yeah, but it's because they have their audiences. The newer generation, a lot of them don't listen to radio, to the conventional radio. They listen to internet radio. So that's why,
I have no choice.
Like the Shom FM, their audience is the older generation. So that's where they're playing the older stuff.
Yeah, they have no choice. They have no choice.
Well, now they're changing now, because what happens in the morning with Ted DeMonte, okay, hurts my stomach. But anyways, he's very old rock and everything. But then once Too Tall comes in, he's getting more gutsy, the guy. He's putting all the different groups coming out. I'm like lately, I've been hearing songs. I'm like, oh, I never heard this. Never. I'm trying to like it, the later one, the later Chom, than the early ones.
But Shom kind of changes ever so often. It lasts like a couple of months, and then they fall back. Like, for the longest time, when you used to wake up to Shom at 7:30 in the morning, every fucking morning for about 6 months, every morning at 7:30, it was Black Betty. Whoa, Black Betty, da da da. Whoa, like, okay, great, it's fine. It's fine to wake up to, but it's one of those things where every day it feels like it's a tape. You put in the tape side A.
Yes.
There's a commercial. Every day at the same time. It's the same song. They get a commercial, side B, and then they play that song. It's like that for about 2-3 weeks if you're lucky. Maybe sometimes it's longer. There's no Montreal. It's a very creative city. We have very good, in terms of culture, even the French side of things. They have creativity. They have great songs. But the venues that to voice their music on is very limited. In Montreal, there's a lot of channels that people don't listen to. There was one, I think it's a sports channel. I think it's 99.5. I forget what it is.
And 90, I think, something like that. It's a sports channel during the day, and then on the weekends it's rock.
But not anymore.
Yeah, they changed it. But for about a year, every Saturday morning I used to wake up to that. It was pretty much from, I think, 8 in the morning till 12. It was old school rock music. And it was all the hits, and they would vary. They would change it up a bit, Led Zeppelin had like more than one hit, you know. But it's few and far in between. I gave up on terrestrial radio, regular over-the-air radio for a long time because the best music, I'll be honest, and the only reason I know it's because I did a lot of, I worked a lot when I did my bachelor's overnight, but it was shown because they have the requests at night. They take a bunch of requests. Yeah, some people are drunk that call in, but you know what? They'll play. You know what? They will play Jungle from Kiss, and they will play, but you have to be up at 3:30 in the morning, which it's not the regular crowd. During the day, it's the same thing. It's always gonna be the top 40 radio, because back in the 70s, maybe the mid 80s, a lot of radio stations were trying to fight the establishment in a way. Oh, we're gonna play our rock music. We're gonna play this. We're gonna play that, which is fine. That's why everybody heard everything. But now, a lot of the radio stations are all cross-owned. You can listen to 3 different stations. They're owned by the same company. Their mandate is the same, and their mandate is to get advertisers on.
Yeah.
So when you're getting the advertisers to dictate what you should be playing, light radio, nothing too hard. When you start listening to, maybe if you're lucky, and it's a sunny day and the planets are all aligned, maybe you may hear Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. But other than that, there's nothing in your face, nothing controversial. It's all pop. It's very stale. Montreal radio is stale. And the only way that I can fulfill my musical needs in terms of listening to new stuff and trying to it's online radio. I have Google Play. When I'm at work, I pick what's new for the week, and I listen to a random album, and that's how I discover groups. It's not by listening to regular radio anymore. It just doesn't work anymore, unfortunately. Rant ended.
So we're kind of agreeing that the radio stations, they're not doing their part.
Well,
I think there has to be a change in the system, but it's not going to happen now. My only fear is in 10 years from now, when all the big bands that we know, have passed on, right? I mean, and then we'll see the big void and how hard it is to find music. I mean, I think rock is in danger. There is a transition; it's becoming something else. But I think we're only going to see the real impact in maybe 10 years, when all these bands don't tour and release stuff anymore.
It may very well be that rock becomes the new jazz.
Yeah.
Where jazz hasn't died. It's still it's still somewhat popular. There's a jazz fest. You may in 50 years you may have a rock fest, but it won't be mainstream anymore. What's going to be mainstream is going to be, I don't know, exotic sounds or whatever the flavor of the month is.
Pop rock, one of the same things.
Bring back breakdancing, I say. Break into Electric Boogaloo. Let's go. The remake.
I think we need to find the next Milli Vanilli, and then I think everything will go back on course.
Blame it on the rain.
Nice guys.
All right, so we all agree that rock is not necessarily dying, but it's on life support.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So that's the show for today. Thank you guys for being on the show today. For all our listeners out there, you guys can listen to us on. You can listen to us on Google Play and iTunes, as long as SoundCloud as well. You can follow us on Twitter at Aroundtable with 2 R's, ARR, Aroundtable. On the Facebook page, Aroundtable.ca, and also you can look at our. You can go to our website to go see our various reviews of different albums. This week, I'm the gaming guru of the group. I released a review for Blocky Football on iOS. You have the Avengers movie saga review. by Johnny. And then you have also Cheryl Curl Be Myself by Stephen Pluto. So those are reviews for the week. Hit us there for your news, your music needs and your review needs. And we'll talk to you next week. All right, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Ciao.
Live the dream.
Putin.